Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I thought I would just do a little garden summer update here and let you know how things are going mid-August. I've planted or have started planting some carrots and beets, green onions, and a few other things for fall and winter crops. I'm zone 8B, so that's possible here. Obviously, if you're thinking about starting some winter crops, just make sure you've got enough time before the first frost. But as you can see from the garden, these are sort of earlier in August when I took these videos, so things are still looking pretty lush and green. They're beginning to get a little yellow and stretched thin now, but as you can see, my tomatoes are really happy. This year I moved some off of the deck and have done some down the side of our building, which gets a lot more heat, and as well as some peppers. And I'm trying different things. Peppers on the deck, peppers on the side of the building, tomatoes in different places, really just trying to see what works best. And of course there's lots of things in seed right now, but this is all the stuff down the side, and this side of the building gets a lot of afternoon sun. And so finally we've got tomatoes starting to come out and grow. I've already harvested a few, and here in Vancouver, we're usually harvesting tomatoes well into October. So I'm excited that some have started to blossom already. One of the things I've started doing is changing over some of the containers. So I decided to pull these potatoes out. I plant a few more nasturtiums because I've had lots of aphid problems. I've made a couple of videos about dealing with aphids, and I'm sure there will be more to come. Finding all kinds of different little bugs and mites and things like that. Once things start to get really stretched in the summer, I notice that's when the insect populations, at least for my container garden, seem to get a little out of control. And as you can see, I've got this beautiful little sweet melon growing. I purchased a melon at a farmer's market and saved the seeds, and the aphids are really starting to go after it. So I've planted some more nasturtiums. I've also taken some tomato plant cuttings and just put them in random pots because aphids love new juicy green shoots, and I would rather them go after sort of decoy nasturtiums and tomato plants. But I've been helped out because some reinforcements have arrived. I saw some more ladybugs out there this morning when I went to check, but the ladybugs have moved in, and so I'm finding we're getting near to equilibrium with the aphid problems. But they are starting to spread from the nasturtiums to some of the other plants. So I've also been spraying with a little bit of tea tree oil, but still been lots of pollinators around. I think I've said before, but a big theme that I've worked towards in recent years is just filling containers with wildflowers and growing more stuff for bees. There's just kind of a look at everything in the garden. And this is where you can start to see, especially the nasturtiums, things that have been they're getting a little leggy from the sun and getting a bit dry. Still been harvesting lots of Swiss chard. There's the carrots again as well, and I just sowed some more about a week ago. And then as well, you can see, just aphids everywhere has been the ongoing theme. Lots of bees, and overall, I'm just trying to encourage natural populations of insects to occur. This is me pulling apart this potato in a container that got a little bit overgrown, and I decided I was just going to pull everything out and see what the harvest was. As you can see, the tops of some of these potato plants started to die. They probably could have been left, but in a small container, I didn't really think much else was going to grow. So I decided to just harvest. As you can see, it was really root bound, but there's definitely some potatoes in there. A few babies, but also some decent ones. I actually cooked up a couple of them last night. You can grow potatoes in containers very easily. You might get smaller, like little nugget potatoes like this, but I actually kind of prefer that. And in the summer, I don't always want to be eating a ton of potatoes, so I like just getting small ones. And, a relatively small harvest is fine by me. I don't have the space to plant tons of potatoes nor to store them, so that's fine. The surprise of my potato harvest, and I've found one or two peanuts before in the past, but there is a resident squirrel who likes to hide peanuts, and apparently this box is his new favorite. Yeah, you'll see in a moment. But basically, to harvest the potato plants, I'm just pulling everything out and giving it a good shake and seeing what falls out. I also pulled apart this big piece of clover just to give an example of, here's me talking about clover yet again, but the root structure that it adds. There's the peanuts, 5 of them that I pulled out. Here's the actual potato harvest. Obviously, there's some really tiny ones in there that I did not cook up. This was off of like one potato that I'd put in that box. Just filled it up with some fresh potting soil to plant some more seeds. Please don't purchase these particular products that I'm showing. It's just what was available. But there's lots of more sustainable soils out there. There's me encouraging local insect populations. But the big theme for midsummer for me is all about harvesting herbs and the Swiss chard and a few of the other things that you've seen, waiting for tomatoes and peppers to ripen, but also starting to think about, switching beds over. What do I want to plant for the fall and winter? We usually don't get any sort of frost or really cold weather well into December, or even late November at the earliest. So I've still got a bit of time. You can see here some things that I'm looking after, plants I'm bringing back to life, things that I've chopped down and thrown some clover into pots. So I would say overall midsummer, you really want to be thinking about if you're going to be doing things in the winter and fall, like trying to grow things, thinking about what would be best to plant in your area. I've gone with beets, green onions, and radishes for the most part. And carrots, of course. There you can see how bushy they're starting to get. And again, they might be kind of crowded. There's another asparagus plant I bought that I'm growing out of a coffee can. It's been really happy. But really, again, just thinking about, I feel like if you're growing food or you have any sort of garden, is you're always trying to think sort of ahead to the next season. What's the next stuff that's coming up that I need to be thinking about? Whether that's harvesting, planting new things, or starting to think about putting some beds to rest for the winter. Obviously, we're coming up to fall, which is a big pruning time, and also a time for soil amendments as well. I know that we're still harvesting the fruits of our labor, and for many of us, there's lots of stuff growing. But of course, it's always good to be thinking ahead to what's going to be coming up. If there's stuff that's going to be finished, what can I plant next? For me, it's been things like columbines and a lot of spring and early summer flowering things. Those pots I'm filling up with clover just to have something growing. And then, of course, starting to think about harvesting my peppers and tomatoes, maybe making some salsas, and thinking about what I'd like to do there. So that's the state of things right now. Like I said, planting lots of stuff, planting lots of seeds. I will have some more videos coming up on each of those particular seeds and vegetables, the things that I'm learning that goes along with that, and sharing my progress with you. In terms of thinking long-term, about growing vegetables, I think one of the things that we can all do to help prepare ourselves a bit is really pay attention to news articles, especially local stories about problems growers are facing as a result of short-term climate impacts as well as longer ones, and just start to really try to familiarize yourself with what's going on in your area and what are some of the challenges. Maybe not all of it will be relevant to you, but there's always lots of helpful advice and sort of signals to things that might be coming down the line that we should be thinking about in the broader picture, like water shortages, maybe an abundance of water in the winter or snow, and how we can best prepare for those things in our area. Anyway, that's the state of the garden for now. Lots more videos to come. Good luck with everything that you're growing, and we will talk to you again soon.